Google has announced the Motorola-made Nexus 6 running Android 5 Lollipop. The phone features a 6-inch Quad HD display which gives it a pixel density of 496 pixels per inch. Maybe it's me, but this QHD trend seems overkill. There's a new Qualcomm Snapdragon 805 chipset inside at, wait for it, 2.65 GHz plus 3 GB of RAM. In other words, more power than your laptop from just a few years ago. Imaging is via a 13 megapixel camera with dual LED flash. Internal storage is 32 or 64 gig. Following another trend, there are front-facing stereo speakers and a fast-charging 3220 mAh sealed battery. The Nexus 6 will be available in dark blue or white next week. Even though I and many others have gently taken the mickey out of Microsoft's marketing tagline for this, the Nokia Lumia 830, the quote, affordable flagship, I can see where the company was going here. In fact, Microsoft made it really easy to analyse in that the Lumia 930, the previous flagship, which I reviewed in Phone Show 232, is so similar in so many ways and yet more restricted. Look, the Lumia 830 has a replaceable battery, not found in the 930. It has a full RGB screen rather than pentile on the 930. It has micro SD expansion for as much media as you like. The 930 was sealed. The 830 has a much faster camera, of which more later. The 830 has the wonderful glance screen system, always on, while the 930 has nothing again. And to top it off, it's £150 cheaper. Well, okay, the 930 has fallen drastically since launch and is now only about £50 more, but I'm comparing launch prices here, and the 830 will be £250 or so, all in by Christmas. You mark my words. Making it decent value for a really premium aluminium-framed Windows phone. In fairness to the older 930, the latter does have a higher spec processor and more RAM, but these factors play little part in the user experience on Windows Phone, which seems to have a responsive UI even on the lowest end phones. And the Snapdragon 401 GB of RAM here are perfectly ample for the OS. Build quality and design are top notch here. The metal is just rounded enough that the edges don't hurt the hand. The 2.5D glass curves away neatly, mirrored by the curve of the pop-off back cover here in shocking green. I think I might have to get myself a plain black one. In fact, the back cover is the only real dodgy note in the 830's design, and that on my review device, getting the cover popped back on required a little patience. Here's hoping this was simply an early unit off the production line. So what's new here? Well, the screen's gorgeous, only 720p, but a full RGB matrix and not pentile, and with all of Nokia's clear black display and sunlight enhancements thrown at it. Terrific. Glance screen is back, baby. In this case, time, date, notifications, and the weather forecast. The single best thing about Windows Phone, in my opinion, and yet to be matched even by the custom chippery in the Moto X. Oh yes, and Qi charging is built in too. It's in the back cover. It's a whole Nokia futuristic win. The 830 has just about all the goodies in the company's inventory. You can see where that flagship strapline came from. The application set here is bog standard Windows Phone 8.1, so very fully fleshed out apart from the usual Google services shaped hole. The one high profile edition turns out to be something that's not actually in the review device yet. You see, the 830 was launched in a blaze of glory, proclaiming the new Lumia camera application that would make full use of the ultra-fast optically stabilized camera to enable rich capture. That's a HDR that's user adjustable after the fact, and dynamic flash, letting you mix how much ambient and flash derived light are used in a photo, again after the fact. And all with very fast shot-to-shot times, a small fraction of a second, with any processing or saving performed in the background while you get on with the next shot. Sounds brilliant, and apparently all automatic for the user who just takes the shot, and everything's then offered when they come to view, edit and share. Brilliant. Except that Microsoft's Q&A people haven't actually approved Lumia camera yet, it seems. I can only guess there's a delay to make sure the new app works on the existing 1520 and 930, but it's frustrating for a new 830 owner waiting to make full use of their hardware. Still, a few more weeks and the situation should be sorted out, I'm sure. The camera itself, despite this smaller form factor, has Nokia's thinnest ever OIS system and a top-notch set of image processing algorithms that produce excellent 8 megapixel shots and 16:9 shown here in all light conditions. Only my usual bugbear, moving subjects indoors and at night, is an issue. Otherwise, I'm impressed by the 830's imaging, and I will be even more so when Lumia camera arrives. So what else do you need to know? The mono speaker on the back is the same as on the 925, 1020 and others, and it could be a bit louder and a bit higher quality. Here's a demo. Name the song. But that's only compared to the best of the HTC stereo output. The micro USB charging port is unusually on the top, which will be awkward for anyone putting this in a car holder, for example. The aluminium sides apparently form part of the cellular antenna aerial system, iPhone 4 style, judging from the plastic breaks at 4 points around the circumference. Signal was okay for me throughout though. The battery is 2200 milliamp hours and removable, as I demonstrated earlier, which is good. Though to be honest, it's so hard to find replacements for some of these new Nokia batteries that they might as well be sealed. Anyone else remember the day when Nokia batteries were largely standard and ubiquitous? If the 830 sells well though, I'm sure drop-in replacements will appear. Capacity is fine with a generous 16GB internal, a lot in the mid-range, of which well over 11GB is available to the user out of the box, plus micro SD up to 128GB. I've got a 64GB card in here. Windows Phone 8.1 is very good and highly customizable at parceling apps, media and captures off to micro SD. In fact, I'd say it's a lot better than Android, so the storage system here makes a lot of sense. Of course, the use of Windows Phone itself may not make sense for everybody. I've been living with it for years now, and 8.1 Update 1 is the best yet, with the likes of the start screen and a Cortana Assistant. Pretty stunning. Remind me to hand over Dad's present next time I'm in Taunton. Though there are still some missing applications. Banking apps, a decent KeyPassX client for me, an up-to-date Twitter client and more. The Lumia 830 runs Lumia Denim, to be precise, effectively 8.1 Update 1, plus some other Nokia-ish bits, of which Lumia camera will be the last when it belatedly arrives. At £300 and without its unique imaging software, the Lumia 830 is nice enough, if a little pricey. With Lumia camera on board and making full use of the tiny but fast and powerful camera, and hopefully nearer £250 or so within a month or two, the very well-spec'd 830 will stand up much better against its affordable flagship marketing tag. At first glance, the Doro Liberto 810 seems like just another chunky budget Android smartphone. The specs aren't very inspiring. A gigahertz single core processor, 512MB of RAM, no 4G, a 1500 mAh battery, only a 4-inch WVGA LCD screen. Why on earth would you pay just over £100 for this? Well, the answer is you wouldn't. Well, not for yourself, but you just might for your mum or dad or grandparents. You see, Doro specialises in phones for the elderly with less precise eyesight and less agile fingers. Would your mum or dad need a smartphone in the first place? Well, that's debatable, but heck, why not? The facility to navigate themselves home if they get lost, the ability to take a quick photo, being able to check for new emails, to see favourite photos of loved ones, keep a calendar and address book, use Facebook, and so on. We're not talking playing Real Racing 3 or running advanced Android utilities. We're talking the very simplest Android smartphone use case. So why not get them a cheap Android handset and have done with it? Because the Doro has been thought out especially for the elderly. Here are just some of the points that make a difference. There's a remoulded micro USB charging plug, clearly marked and oversized for clumsier fingers. This is a really nice idea. Physical controls that require significant pressure to activate. No more accidental capacitive control presses while just holding the phone. A hugely simplified launcher that puts contacts and communications up front and with limited facility for customization, so less to go wrong and less bits to lose. Oversized fonts, menus and panels and rewritten core apps for older eyes, together with larger buttons and controls for older fingers. A curated app store of items which work very well on the Doro and within its use case. The usual Play Store is here too, don't worry. Lots of paper guides and manuals in the box. You can't expect the older generation to read how to use this thing on the thing. Remote management of the phone using Doro Experience, letting you, that's me or you, fix things from your own computer or smartphone when your elderly relative gets confused or needs something changed, such as a new phone number. That's quite a list of benefits for the Doro elderly use case, and all work more or less as advertised. But The Liberto 810 isn't perfect. The hardware control keys. Doro has overdone the degree of pressure needed to activate these. Making them less sensitive than capacitive spots is fair enough, but these require a pinching technique and quite a bit of force. Too far the other way, I think. The Doro also takes an eternity to boot up. Oh, just leave it on 24/7, I hear you say, and I'd say that too. That's how smartphones work, but it's not how the elderly see technology. They want to turn everything off overnight, trust me. So some re-education will be required from you here. Also required from you will be a lot of setup time. The first hour of my time with the 810 was spent applying system updates in layer after layer after layer, then setting up apps and accounts using a tiny and somewhat frustratingly fiddly keyboard. You won't just be able to hand over the Doro and let them set it up themselves. Once sorted though, there's a fighting chance that the Liberto 810 might well suit them and give your mum or dad or grandparent a taste of the smartphone lifestyle without a device that will confuse them daily. Of course, something sleeker and larger would work better. The Liberto 820 has a 4.5-inch higher quality display, lighter control buttons, an 8-megapixel camera and KitKat under the hood, though you'd never know it, plus a handy dock to avoid having to plug in a charging lead at all. The catch, it's £250 plus, 2.5 times the price of the 810. Doro's heart is absolutely in the right place though. Its devices may not be perfect and may seem pricey, but if someone in your life just can't cope with a normal Android smartphone interface and sensitivity, then the Doro is a jolly good place to start your research.